his talk with like a person, I think for sure, again, it's no introduction at all. He is like very well known in CT, has solved lots of like debunked lots of myths around various hacks and security problems across Twitter. And what I've personally seen, very raw with the thoughts, not sugarcoating stuff or much. So we'd like to like welcome Mudit. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for giving us time. Thanks for talking to us. We'll looking forward to learn a lot of things which I personally want to learn from you through this talk, and will hopefully like the listeners of this podcast will also learn something from the discussion.
Perfect. And thanks for the kind introduction. Really looking forward to this chat.
Awesome. I think Mudit, you are well known in the space. There's things like for a very long time, as I was mentioning, have like being opinionated in various things, which kind of made you very somebody who like men look up to you to like get some specific opinions and stuff. And before we kind of deep dive into the all the things you have done and all, we'll like just like to know a little bit about you, your background, where you coming from, how you came into crypto,
Yeah.
and then kind of like Polygon with such a big role as a like a head of security. So we like to know all of this starting from the basics.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I started out as a cybersecurity engineer before I got into crypto. From there, I first came across Monero. So I had a client work there, started using Monero, did some research on Monero for a few weeks, and that got me hooked. So I came to Monero for privacy and really stayed for all of the blockchain properties, decentralization, and so on. From there, I worked on Bitcoin for a bit. I worked on Ethereum, especially proof of stake. I did some research on the POW to POS transition. I worked on DeFi protocols like SushiSwap, led R&D there, and eventually made it my way to Polygon in 2022 January. And yeah, at Polygon, I just combined all of the blockchain experience I gained in the last 10 years or so with the cybersecurity experience I originally come with to lead security at Polygon.
I think the role which you have, CISO, which is I haven't personally seen much in Web3. They do have security and auditors team and all. And like security and audit, what I have personally seen is just mostly they have the big protocols like Polygon. Obviously, they'll have security team, but many things are outsourced. Like there's this Hellbound and all this Sigma Prime and all. They take a lot of load and they do stuffs from there. What specific task you kind of do, and do you cross collaborate with all these auditing firms? How your day-to-day life looks like at Polygon at this moment?
Yeah, for sure. So Polygon has an internal security team of around 10 people right now. We have the best of the best in the industry. Polygon takes security very seriously. We don't like in this space, you would see most of the crypto companies don't really care about security as much, unfortunately. All they get done is, okay, we have a smart contract audit and then that's it. But there are a bunch of other factors in here, like you need to keep your website secured, your DNS secure, your email secured. So even the biggest protocols have had these security incidents in the past, like Curve lost their domain, that got compromised. And Curve is like one of the most respected teams. Like those guys are super great. And bunch of other protocols as well. So in this space, people just don't care about security as much. Polygon does. So that's why they brought me in. Day to day, my role is more managerial, less hands-on. Especially now, I've taken a bunch more responsibilities at Polygon. So, but originally, a CISO's role really is to structure how the security program works, to figure out what exactly needs to happen, and then find people who can do it. So we have an in-house smart contract auditor who does all of our code reviews and audits before they go to external auditors. So for our product side, like our security researchers are always in sync with the developers. Every PR that we make goes through the security review and then it's merged. When it's even before we start coding and we're just discussing the architecture, the security team is present to make sure the architecture itself is secure enough so you don't have to rewrite things. We do proper threat modeling, so we know, okay, what possible attack vectors are there, how can we mitigate them. We have an incident response plan. So if for any chance something goes wrong, we know, okay, what we have to do, how can we mitigate this and so on. So all of these things are like essential and like 101s in the Web2 side of things, you would see like almost every major company would have a CISO or head of security or someone in that position who manages all of these policies and programs. In Web3, yeah, like Polygon is now, I guess, like bunch of teams are hiring for head of securities or CISO. It's a hard role to fill because you need a combination of Web3 security with Web2 security, which is a rare talent. But companies are slowly starting to realize now this is needed. We are seeing so many hacks, like even Safe, for example, like everyone was trusting Safe. They have like billions of dollars secured by them. They had no security person in house, and which led to, I would arguably see, a very basic exploit, which led to Bybit being compromised, and Bybit again failed their security thing as well. So yeah, it's just the basics that need covering for sure.
I think I would have anyway asked you about the safe stuff because like it actually everybody was affected, including us. And not so the fund was lost, but since our money was all being involved, and personally Vitalik is also kind of told in public forum, and I know like it's fine, like we shouldn't hear about all what Vitalik says, but again I think many people take his voice for granted and follow it. Want to know if you can like deep dive a little bit without going into too much technical details, what problems Safe faced exactly, and possibly how they could have mitigated that, and I think they have upgraded some things as in the front end UI. They're giving such notifications and stuff, but I think you will be the better person to kind of take us through the journey, the problems which Safe did, they could have done better, and what they are doing at this moment.
Yeah, for sure. Safe did what a typical crypto company does. Like they got their smart contract secured and audited and everything. There was no bug there. That is perfectly fine. But they forgot the Web2 basics. So like a lot of things went wrong for this hack to happen. Like if there were multiple layers of security that were missed, if Safe had implemented even one of them, they would have been safe. So starting from first, like one of their employees got compromised through a phishing attack. So they didn't had proper EDR or anything installed on their laptops to detect any malware like this. They didn't have proper employee training to avoid such attacks and so on. They had no detection for seeing, okay, if this attack is being executed or anything like that. So that was the first miss. Okay, we take that out. Employee got compromised. Second miss was, even when the employee gets compromised, no single employee should have access to push to production without reviews from others. Like it's a very basic access control mechanism, but they didn't implement this. So employee got compromised. Employee had full access to push everything, so they pushed it. Now on the third side, they had no monitoring of what is being pushed on production or anything like that. So the malicious code was pushed, I think, 1 day before the hack actually happened. So if they were actually monitoring what is being deployed and pushed to their production, they would have caught this, and hopefully Bybit would have been saved. So yeah, like this also went wrong. So there were multiple layers that went wrong. If Safe had done even one of these things right, it would have been caught and prevented.
Anything they've fixed now, like as I was mentioning about something they have seen, what we can see in the front end stuff, they're giving in one step further. There is a one page which is coming, which before we are kind of confirming the transaction.
Yeah.
But I must see you can tell it in a more better way what actually they have fixed.
Yeah, for sure. On these vectors, yeah, they're working on fixing it. So they are doing employee training. They are working on hiring a new head of security who can implement EDR and everything. They have told me like they've restricted production access to require approvals and so on. They've added monitoring for it. So yeah, they've fixed all of these vectors. Then going from here to the actual signing. So they've made it easier for users to verify what they are signing on the hardware device itself. So this second part was users' fault. They didn't verify originally, but now Safe has made it easier for users to verify. They're working with, I think, OpenZeppelin and PC to create this verification script. People can get a hash that they verify on their Ledger device before signing, so they know actually what their signing matches up with what they are seeing. So yeah, that's another good step they've taken.
I think one question, it's like maybe it's coming from my vested interest, or I think it might can help a lot of people. What, according to you, I'm saying not the best in general, like is the best way to store funds? Like we have so many options, we have multi-sigs, we have like Rabbies have made things simplified and all, but is it a multi-sig, it is a hardware, is it a combination or so? I think it might help a lot of people. I'm also curious to know what, according to you, is the best way to like, store like a good amount of funds in your opinion.
Yeah. So it depends on your technical skill level. If you are, I would say, not an engineer, just someone who is curious with crypto, a fund manager or someone, I would say don't risk self custody. Just go with a custodian for this large amount. You can use Fireblocks, Anchorage, Coinbase custody. Like there are a bunch of options you can use. Just use them. They know how to do it, and you will be much safer that way. If you are engineers or are very intrigued in doing it on your own, or you have other reasons to not put money in custodial solutions, then you come to these multi-sig solutions, self-custodial. So a typical setup would look like, now again, the multi-sig config you can change based on the level of security and operational access you need. But a good solution would be a multi-sig, which is at least 2x3 security, more if you have more funds in there. All of the signing keys should be hardware wallets, different ledgers or treasures. The mnemonic key of the hardware wallet should never be typed on a computer, and so on. So basic security hygiene. Then you should do segregation of funds and assets. So like your cold wallet should be separate from the wallet you're using on DeFi protocols. If you want to put anything in DeFi protocol, you move funds from first cold wallet to DeFi wallet and then use it there. Similarly, at some point, like maybe if you're managing something like Bybit, billions of dollars, then you should, even with cold wallets, you should have multiple. Don't store more than, let's say, 100 million in one wallet. It depends on your operational practices, but yeah, something like that. You structure it, and that's how you overall do it. Then it's all about actually using it securely, actually verifying what you are signing, using the official UI and things like that.
Awesome. I think that is going to surely help a lot of folks, because you kind of simplified for the retailers as well as for like the big guns who are like storing billions. And one another security breach which hampered a lot of crypto value, I'll say, is WazirX.
Yeah.
I've seen your tweets. You have mentioned a lot of stuffs out there. I've checked it a few. But again, like I just want you to kind of give us a TLDR. What exactly happened? What they did wrong? And again, if I don't know if they have fixed it or not, I'm for sure it's like there are.
Yeah, I don't think they are operating now anymore.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So like there's lots of problems there, but that's why I kind of hindered. Okay, fine, they fixed it or not. I have no idea. But like, what exactly went wrong there? If you can give us a picture, and could they fixed it in such a way, or it's such a attack which was like very targeted, very like which couldn't be fixed?
They could have easily prevented it. It was very targeted. It was very complex. At that time, it was probably the most complex crypto phishing attack we have seen from DPRK. Bybit beats that, but it was still very complex. Starting from WazirX again, like they made multiple wrong decisions for this to happen. So first they started using Liminal, which is like a wrapper over Gnosis Safe, which makes Gnosis Safe even more insecure. So there's like, from a security perspective, there is no good reason to actually be using Liminal, but they trusted Liminal, folks started using it, and that all led to this. So that was the first mistake. Then we still don't actually know, because Liminal has not been cooperating, that did the compromise originate on Liminal's side or WazirX side. Both are possible paths. You can make a guess. Like WazirX has been cooperating and we have not found any evidence there. Doesn't mean that they were not compromised, but no evidence has been found. Liminal stopped cooperating with everyone, so that's a black box. So the hack, basically the way it happened was like what the WazirX signers were seeing on their website was different from what they are signing on their ledger. What they are seeing on the website seemed an innocent normal transaction to transfer funds from their cold wallet to hot wallet. But when they signed it, it was a malicious transaction upgrading their cold wallet contract to just drain all of the funds. So they should have verified on WazirX side, like on their hardware wallet, what they're signing is matching with what they're seeing by matching the hash, generating the hash somewhere else, and so on. So on their side, yes, they should have done this and prevented this. On the other side, we don't know for if the hack happened on Liminal or WazirX also didn't have any EDR or any protection like that, so that's a miss as well. On Liminal side, a couple of things went wrong. One is obviously if their website was compromised, we have no way of saying right now if it was or if it was not. But even we ignore that, there was one security feature Liminal offered, which was their co-signer basically, which said, okay, it will only sign transactions when they pass their firewall and security practices. But that signer signed these malicious transactions. So obviously this was a miss. They should not have signed bad transactions. They did. And yeah, like it was probably a software bug or compromise. Again, we don't know till we get more access. But yeah, so there were faults on both sides. If either of the side had better security policies, this would have been prevented. But all of it added up and we have what we have.
You just before talking about Safe and WazirX, you just mentioned one thing that most Web3 security firms are not that much like focused towards preventing these attacks or security problem. I just want to know in general, because we as a industry are one of the, because we deal with finance, right? We deal with money, real money. It's not a Web2 stuff. Hey, its data can be gets breached and it's not good obviously, but it's still okay. It's kind of not bringing somebody to like overnight. It's not bankrupt or overnight he's like losing something. He can gain it, fine, okay. Its reputation must be hurt.
Yeah.
Losing money is something which is very real problem. And I think even for a team of 4 or 5 people where you are dealing with real money, I think you should have somebody who should at least look after security and stuff. Personally, what I have learned and understood by people do give audits straight to like external firms, which I was telling. But again, I think the big auditor firms charge a bomb, basic on my experience. But like, what do you think, like, as an industry, how, let's say, a small pre-seed project, which has like 3-4 million in their funding, or even like smaller project, or let's say a little bit bigger, how they should plan early, like when they're dealing with some amount of even $50 million of TVL, how the plan should be, like in a mix of in-house and external auditors. And I know like auditing as like auditors are like, it costs a lot to be an auditor, because they need to know everything. They need to understand from the how things are working, as he was mentioning, and many needs to have a good functional skill as well to kind of deal with the problem and the thinking of the edge case. Like you think from the first and what can go wrong. There are many problems to it. But like the core question is like, how will you suggest for all these problems which the crypto projects are dealing with, maybe the smaller ones, to design a good security protocols which can protect them from like at least the basic hacks or the hacks we are seeing at this moment?
Oh yeah, for sure. So honestly, like if you are a small company, make sure one of your founding engineers, one of the early people, have a security mindset. So they've done all of the cycle before, they know how to do it, and they can manage. Otherwise, it would be like launching a DeFi protocol with nobody of any security experience would be like running a hospital with no doctors. You just come in, some nurse gives you any random medicine, cuts you anywhere, and you're good. Like that just doesn't work. So you need, if I would say it's a prerequisite if you're launching a credible protocol in this space, that you have like either yourself or your partner or one founding engineer you hire who has this security mindset. They don't need to be an auditor themselves, but they need to know what they need to secure. So they need to know, okay, they need to get smart contract audit, they need to get Web2 pen testing, they need to like lock down their domains, DNS, IT, infra, they have to have 2FA. Like they just need to know all of these things. And that's really the bare minimum. Even in the wider space in crypto right now, the problem isn't that people don't want security. Like every protocol founder I talk to, like they want to be secure and they are spending money on it. This is why audit firms are so expensive. They're charging outrageous amounts because people are willing to pay it. People want security. The problem really is that people don't know what security actually means. What do they actually need? So like the solution really is having someone in the team who knows this. In the Web 2 world, it is enforced by regulators that okay, you need to have these certificates or attestations like SOC 2 compliance, like ISO 27001. So this forces the leadership to hire a security engineer who can do this. In Web 3, we don't have that force, so team end up not hiring any security engineers. When you don't have a security engineer, you just don't know what needs to be secured. Even when you're willing to spend funds, you just don't know what needs to happen. And that is the biggest gap. Now, I think at least the bigger teams are learning, okay, no, they need to have someone in-house. It just can be one person, can even be a contractor who can at least tell them, hey, like this is your weak point, secure this is how you secure this, and they can go from there.
Want to touch base on two things. First is EigenLayer and then a few things about Polygon. Like about EigenLayer, as we know, it's a primary security protocol, shared security protocol in that sense. As I think people perceive in a very different way. Like we staking and stuff, these are like very retail focused stuff to like maybe EigenLayer was looking to get the TVL, maybe people were looking to get extra yield on their stake there. But I think for sure, since you come from a security background, you see entire stuff in a like actual security stuff, the shared security, how it's not kind of known. I want to know your general thoughts about the shared security landscape. I know like with EigenLayer there's Symbiotic, there is Karak, there are other protocols which are coming up, but as shared security in general. And number two is, I think with that, you can kind of maybe add up is, and EigenLayer has some risk factors which is exposed to. I want to know your honest thoughts in it. What are the risk factors EigenLayer is exposed to, and what can be the mitigation to it?
Yeah, for sure. So EigenLayer in theory is super nice if everyone was very attentive and staking directly to the AVSs they trust and verifying how the AVS works and things like that. But the reality, unfortunately, is, or at least my guess is, most people would just see the highest number, put money in there. They don't care about security or how that fund is being used or underlying AVS, what purposes it is using them for. So in practice, you don't get as much security out of it as you potentially can. So that's one thing. The other is, obviously, since people are putting money in there for monetary benefits, not for providing security, the yields are quite low and there is a risk of slashing. So they have just enabled slashing like a month ago or two.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I would be really interesting from a crypto economic perspective to see how many people continue to take on the slashing risk for this additional small yield that they are getting. It might not be crypto economically viable. The risk profile may not be worth it anymore. But that doesn't mean it would just go away. It just means, okay, the supply would come down to match the demand, because right now the demand for AVS is relatively low. So there are lots of things and levers in play here. Yes, like if there was very less supply and huge demand for AVS, we get into other problems where the TVL might be very over leveraged and it might just have a cascading effect if one thing falls. But we are far from that point. Like we have an over supply and quite less demand, so it's very hard to overload it that way. So there are definitely lots of trade-offs and lots of good things about it, lots of pitfalls. For now, it's doing fine. There are smart contracts risks as well, but at the end of the day, for now, I think what anyone really cares about are the crypto economic policies. If people think they're getting enough money from it, enough additional yield from it for the extra risk, they will. Over time, as the demand build up, people would come back for the additional demand.
Cool. I think before we wrap up, we'll like to know your some thoughts on Polygon. I have very few specific questions. Just want to know your generic thoughts. I think in general, I think Polygon is one of the OG chains, like not coming from East, but as a whole in general, like how they have solved the scaling problem with with like minimum gas fees, fast transaction execution and stuff. But like over time, like we see in the last cycle, there's so many conviction in Polygon. Not from a price perspective, I'm saying, because all the chains are down. But if I be very honest, I think relatively the like the mind share is low, I'll say. I see like obviously like the POS is being used widely and like it's being widely adopted and stuff. But let's say the other avenues, let's say the ZK stuff, what Polygon is doing and trying doing, it's not that much in there. Uh, if you talk from a very like a neutral perspective, I just want to know your thoughts on that. Like it has a base team because people like you, there are other people we also personally know that they are pretty cracked, they're bullish on Polygon as a tech. And I think Sandeep himself is like very well connected with BD stuff, real world adoption of Polygon. But isn't like, is there some problem in the sense like some gaps which is like cultural problem or maybe the tech problem, or is the market reacting very awkwardly? Is something like that is existing, and what can the potential fixes or can be the mitigations according to you?
Yeah, for sure. So the market is in crypto world is really product focused. They don't care as much about R&D. But what Polygon did was Polygon was fully product focused till like 2021, I would say. Then they raised like $500 million to accelerate the R&D and ZK stuff. And at that point, they went into just sort of an hibernate mode where they are just doing work on this cutting edge technology. We built Plonky 2, we built Plonky 3, we built the first ZK EVM, we worked on Maiden, Zero Prover, Type 1, Type 2, bunch of these crypto primitives that our industry would not be where it is right now without these primitives. So instead of focusing on just the product, we started building the future primitives that we will use, and we like spend the last 3 years just working on those primitives. Now we are at this point from we started pivoting back to product focus from the start of this year, and you would already see the results. So we just announced the new roadmap, not the full roadmap, but we started teasing changes coming to POS. We are making the TPS go from right now 700 to up to 10,000, so more than 10x improvement. And we are making instant. We are going to have instant finality. We are going to have no reorgs and things like that. So now we are going back to product focus because we have already built these primitives that we can use to build products. So all of the people facing things you will start seeing coming into action from this year. Especially this month is gonna be big. Lots of announcement coming soon. Lots of things launching next month. And yeah, we're gonna have things going out one by one, just one after another, whole year. And you would see again, like we'll get back that mind share. We'll get back all of the love, because we'll finally start doing people facing things, not just back end R&D stuff.
Awesome. I think thanks, Mudit. Thanks for the time. Thanks for all the insights you have shared in shared security, and as a whole in general. I think I wish all the best to Polygon because we all love Polygon, and I wish to succeed. And yeah, thanks for doing this and keep enlightening us in CT by your honest thoughts.
Thank you. It was really nice talking to you.
Okay.
That was the question about, let's say, like I created my first wallet 4 years back, and still I think the process of creating a wallet, or let's say the security wise, we are same. So do you think there is something that is going on back end where we are trying to change some things out there?
Yeah.
Because still the onboarding problem of basic still have to.
It's very bad. Yeah, right now the onboarding is very bad, but people are working on it. So there are two main techniques being worked on. One, passkeys. So you just log in with your Google and that's it, on sort of those. And second is more MPC solutions. So this would still be like you can log in through SSO or anything, doesn't matter. You would get one shard of your key. So this shard in itself is not securely kept or not as securely kept. Google, for example, might have access to it if you sign in with Google, but there are multiple shards. So it's your whole key is not compromised. Like someone would have to compromise Google plus AWS plus GCP plus the app you are using to compromise something like this. So that's the MPC wallets are the second way people are solving UX. And honestly, like third way, it's being worked on, not as common, it's just custodial solutions. I really think like in the longer term, more retail would be using custodial solutions than non-custodial. It's simpler to manage, it's better UX. It's just not a reality right now because of all of the regulatory concerns. Nobody wants to offer a custodial service. It has lots of regulatory complexity. But over time, we will resolve all of those. We will have custodial solutions as well, and custodial solutions are what I expect like my mom and dad and so on, like people who don't really know computers and everything, they would be able to use.
Yeah, because they are like very
Yeah.
opposed to like what they do in banks. Like just even if someone has gold, they have like
Yeah.
and they give it.
People still go to bank to get their passbooks updated, like if they withdraw anything or their pension comes back. So we need to take care of those people as well, sir.